Welcome to the Online Digital Marketing Podcast. We'll be discussing marketing strategies, trends, and tips that will help your business succeed in the digital age. Every episode, we'll be interviewing industry professionals and providing valuable insights on how to leverage digital tools for maximum engagement and ROI. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the latest trends in online marketing.
Picture the market you operate in right now. I don't care if you're in tech, manufacturing, or, selling coffee. Chances are you're constantly looking over your shoulder. You're tweaking features, cutting margins by a tiny fraction of a percent.
Maybe cranking up the ad spend just to hold on to the share you already have.
Exactly. It's exhausting, right? In the business world, we have a name for this. It's the red ocean.
And it's called that for a very good reason. It's red because it's bloody.
Yeah.
It's full of sharks, your competitors, all fighting over a shrinking school of fish. I mean, the water is just tainted with the blood of failed products and slashed prices.
A vivid image to start our day. But today, we're doing a deep dive into what is, I think, arguably one of the most significant strategy books of the last couple of decades.
Oh, for sure.
We're talking about Blue Ocean Strategy by W. Chan Kim and Renée Mauborgne. Now, most people have heard the term Blue Ocean.
Oh, yeah, it's everywhere.
It's become corporate shorthand for let's do something new. But I think the actual mechanics of the book often get lost in the buzzwords.
I agree completely. It's often just misused as a synonym for innovation or niche marketing. But the source material is so much more rigorous than that.
It is.
It's based on a study of 150 strategic moves. We're talking over 100 years across 30 industries. And what Kim and Mauborgne argue is that the only way to truly win is to stop trying to beat the competition.
Okay, which sounds great on a bumper sticker, right? Make the competition irrelevant.
Right.
But for you, the listener, who has to report quarterly earnings next week, that just sounds like a fantasy. How do you actually do that when the competition is actively trying to steal your customers?
That's the core tension, isn't it? The traditional view of strategy, think Michael Porter's 5 Forces. It assumes the industry structure is fixed.
Right. You're stuck in a cage.
You are. And strategy is just figuring out how to survive in that cage. Blue Ocean Strategy just flips that entirely. It says industry boundaries are, they're just cognitive illusions. You can actually reconstruct them.
So we're moving from structuralism, where the environment dictates strategy, to reconstructionism, where your strategy shapes the environment.
Precisely.
Let's break down the red ocean mindset first, just so we're crystal clear on what we're leaving behind.
Okay. So in a red ocean, the rules are known. You accept the industry's boundaries. If you're an airline, you compete on price or luxury.
If you're a winery, you're competing on prestige and complexity.
Exactly. The focus is always on existing demand. You're just trying to grab a larger slice of a pie that everybody knows about.
And usually that involves what the authors call the value-cost trade-off. This is standard MBA teaching, right?
Classic stuff.
You can either be a differentiator, so high value, high cost, or you can be a cost leader, which is low value, low cost. You can't be both.
And if you try, you get stuck in the middle and die.
Yeah.
That's the conventional wisdom. If you want better quality, you have to spend more on materials or talent or R&D. If you want to be cheaper, you have to cut corners somewhere. A Blue Ocean strategy, though, is all about pursuing differentiation and low cost simultaneously.
Okay, see, this is the part I want to push back on, because differentiation and low cost sounds a bit like having your cake and eating it too.
It does.
How is that physically possible? You can't just wish away the cost of quality.
You're right. You can't wish it away. You have to engineer it away. And you do that through something called value innovation. This is the cornerstone of the whole book.
Value innovation.
Yeah. It's not just about being innovative with technology. Technology often raises costs without really raising buyer value. Value innovation is different. It only happens when the whole system, the company's utility, its price, and its cost activities, is aligned.
Let's ground this, because definitions can be a little dry. The book opens with the classic example, Cirque du Soleil. Now, everyone knows Cirque, but let's look at it through the specific lens of value and cost. Back in the 1980s, the circus industry was a dying red ocean.
Totally. You had Ringling Brothers and all the others fighting over shrinking audiences.
Right, and the costs were just astronomical.
So think about it. What was the biggest cost driver for a traditional circus?
The animals.
I know.
I mean, the care, the feeding, transport. insurance, legal issues.
Precisely. And the so-called star performers.
Yeah.
The big-name lion tamers or acrobats who demanded huge salaries.
So Cirque comes along, and this is where that value innovation thing kicks in. They didn't just try to be a better circus. They didn't get, like, better tigers or more famous clowns.
No, they eliminated them.
Just got rid of them.
They looked at the industry and they asked, do people actually care about the animals anymore? And the answer, increasingly was no. It was becoming a PR headache.
Cute.
So they eliminated the animals entirely. They eliminated the star performers. They got rid of the three-ring layout, which was expensive, and just split the audience's attention.
So there's the low-cost part of the equation. They just gutted the traditional cost structure of a circus. But if you only cut costs, you end up with a lousy carnival in a parking lot.
Right.
How did they get the differentiation, the value part?
They borrowed elements from the theater. They added a storyline, a theme. They added artistic music and lighting. It became this sophisticated production. They created a new venue, the tent, but they made it upscale.
So by eliminating the high-cost elements that didn't really add value anymore, like the animals, and then creating new elements that added massive value, like theater and art, they broke the trade-off.
And here's the kicker. Because of that new value, they could price their tickets against Broadway shows, not against the local circus.
Wow.
They increased the price point while simultaneously lowering their cost structure. That right there is value innovation.
It's so interesting because if you asked a traditional circus executive to assess Cirque du Soleil in 1984, they probably would have said, that's not a circus.
And they would have been right. It wasn't a circus, it was blue ocean. The competition just became irrelevant because Cirque wasn't competing for the kids who wanted to see an elephant.
Who were they competing for?
They were competing for adults and corporate clients who wanted a sophisticated night out, a whole new market.
Okay, so that's the theory in action, but most of our listeners, they aren't running a circus. They're dealing with legacy systems, established products, skeptical boards. How do you actually replicate that process? You can't just guess what to cut.
Well, the authors provide a very specific analytic tool for this. It's called the 4 Actions Framework, or the ERRC grid.
ERRC.
Yep, it stands for Eliminate, Reduce, Raise, Create.
I find this grid incredibly useful because it forces you to be honest. It forces you to subtract, which is something businesses, we hate doing. We love adding features.
Oh, we hate taking them away. It's human nature. We just think more is better. The ERRC grid asks 4 pretty brutal questions.
Okay, what are they?
First, eliminate. Which factors that the industry takes for granted should be eliminated?
Okay.
Second, reduce. Which factors should be reduced well below the industry standard? Third, raise. Which factors should be raised well above the industry standard?
And the last one?
And fourth, create. Which factors should be created that the industry has never, ever offered?
Let's apply this. The book uses the example of yellowtail wine.
A great one.
This is a fascinating case study because the wine industry is notoriously snobbish and complex. It's a classic red ocean. Thousands of wineries, all competing on complexity, tannins, oak.
Aging. And the result was that for the average consumer, buying wine was just terrifying.
It is. You stand in the aisle, you're staring at 500 bottles, and you have no idea what to pick. You just feel stupid.
Right. So Casella Wines, the makers of Yellowtail, they looked at this. If they had followed a traditional strategy, they would have tried to make a slightly more complex wine, maybe aged it 6 months longer.
And spent millions on marketing to tell people about the notes of berries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead, they used the grid. Eliminate. They eliminated all that entomological terminology and the aging qualities. They realized the mass market didn't care about tannins or sediment.
Say they just got rid of it.
Gone.
Uh-huh.
They reduced the wine complexity and the vineyard prestige. Raise. They raised the ease of selection. They made the label simple, colorful, fun, the kangaroo.
And create.
They created easy drinking.
Yeah.
A wine that tasted good immediately without needing to breathe.
Yeah.
It was basically a bridge between beer or cocktails and wine.
And I remember the reaction from the industry when this happened. The wine critics hated it. They called it alcoholic fruit juice.
Of course they did, because they were judging it by the rules of the red ocean.
Aha.
But Yellowtail wasn't making wine for wine snobs.
No.
They were making wine for beer drinkers. They captured a massive ocean of new demand. They became the fastest growing wine brand in U.S. history by completely ignoring what the industry said quality was.
This brings up a really crucial point from the book, The Strategy Canvas. The authors talk about mapping this out visually. If you plot the wine industry on a graph, every single competitor follows the same curve. High complexity, high price, high prestige marketing. Yellowtail's line on that graph looked completely different.
And that's the litmus test. If your strategy canvas looks like your competitors, just maybe a little higher here, a little lower there, you are in a red ocean. You're just tweaking.
To find a blue ocean, your curve needs to diverge dramatically. But there's a risk here, isn't there? If you diverge too far, you might create something nobody wants.
For sure.
You can be unique and you can be bankrupt. How do you ensure there's actually a market for this value innovation?
This leads us to the second major pillar of the book, the 3 tiers of non-customers.
Okay.
In a red ocean, you obsess over your existing customers. You do focus groups with them. You ask them what they want.
Right. How can we make you 5% happier?
Exactly. But existing customers can't tell you how to create a blue ocean. They only know what they know. To find real growth, you have to look at the people not buying from you.
The non-customers. And the authors break this down into 3 tiers. I want to walk through these because this is where most businesses just leave money on the table.
Absolutely.
Tier 1 is the soon-to-be non-customers. Who are they?
These are people who use your product, but minimally and grudgingly. They're sitting right on the edge of the market, ready to jump ship as soon as anything better comes along.
Like the person eating a soggy sandwich at an airport kiosk. They're buying it because they're hungry, not because they love the sandwich.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
And Pret a Manger is a company that captured this tier. They saw professionals wanted lunch, but hated the slow service of restaurants and the, frankly, bad quality of fast food.
So those people were the soon-to-be non-customers of traditional restaurants.
Exactly. Pret offered restaurant-quality food at fast food speed. They captured that Tier 1 demand.
Okay, Tier 2. The refusing non-customers. These are the people who considered your industry and just said, no thanks.
This group is critical. They didn't reject you because they don't have the need. They rejected you because your solution was either too expensive, too complex, or just too painful.
The book mentioned JCDecaux here, the outdoor advertising company.
Yes, a brilliant example of unlocking Tier 2. Before JCDecaux, outdoor advertising was billboards. But cities, especially in Europe, refused to allow more billboards. They were ugly. They created clutter.
So the municipalities were refusing non-customers. They wanted the revenue, but they refused the product.
Right. So JCDecaux couldn't sell them billboards, so what did they do? They realized cities needed street furniture, bus stops, public toilets, benches, but couldn't afford to maintain them.
Ah, I see where this is going.
JCDecaux created a blue ocean. They provided the street furniture for free and maintained it in exchange for the exclusive right to display advertising on it.
Wow. They converted a refusal into a partnership. They solved a pain point maintenance costs to unlock the ad space they wanted.
Precisely. They looked at why the non-customer was refusing, and they solved that specific blockage.
And finally, Tier 3, the unexplored non-customers. These are the people in distant markets who've never even thought of your industry as an option for them.
This is usually the biggest tier. It's the assumption that, oh, those people just aren't our demographic. Think of teeth whitening.
Okay.
For decades, that was a service provided exclusively by dentists. It was a medical procedure. The customer was a patient.
Right.
But then companies realized there was this massive Tier 3 ocean of people who wanted white teeth but would never go to a dentist for a cosmetic procedure because of the cost and, the fear.
So by moving teeth whitening into the toothpaste aisle, creating strips and things like that?
Companies like P&G unlocked millions of customers who never would have set foot in a dental clinic for that service. They transformed a medical service into a consumer good.
So we have that's value innovation. We have the how, the ERRC grid, and the non-customers. This all sounds fantastic, but now we have to talk about the reality of actually doing this, because I can see a listener nodding along, but then thinking about their Monday morning meeting.
Yeah.
You walk in and say, hey, let's stop competing and start a blue ocean strategy, and the first thing you get is pushback. Or just blank stares.
That's where blue oceans often dry up. Execution. The authors identify 4 key hurdles every manager faces: cognitive, resource, motivational, and political.
Let's talk about that political hurdle, because that's the one that kills careers. If you decide to eliminate a feature, say your yellowtail, and you decide to fire the aging experts, those experts are not going to go quietly.
Absolutely not. Strategy isn't just an analytic exercise, it's a political one. There are vested interests in the red ocean. People's status, their budgets, their very identities are tied to the old way of doing things.
So how do you get past that?
The authors suggest you have to silence the naysayers early, not by arguing, but by showing the undeniable reality of the need for change. They call it tipping point leadership.
So it's not about convincing everyone, it's about convincing the key influencers.
Right. But even more important than the politics is the concept of fair process. This is so critical for anyone listening to understand. You cannot force a blue ocean strategy on a team.
What happens if you do?
If people feel like the change is being done to them, they will sabotage it.
Sabotage is a strong word.
But it's the reality.
Yeah.
If I suddenly change your job description or I cut your budget because of some new strategy you don't understand, you will resist. Fair process means engaging the team in the decision-making.
Okay.
Ask for their input on the ERRC grid. Explain the reasoning behind the final decision.
So it's not a democracy. You're not taking a vote on the strategy.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But it is inclusion. It's what they call engagement, explanation, and expectation clarity. If you explain why we are cutting the animals from the circus, because the cost structure is unsustainable and the audience doesn't really care anymore, the lion tamer might still be upset. But the rest of the staff understands the logic. They build what the authors call psychological ownership of the strategy.
I think that's the missing link in so much corporate strategy. We get the PowerPoint deck, but we don't get the why. And without the why, you don't get execution.
And without execution, a blue ocean is just a nice idea on a slide.
So let's synthesize this. We've covered a lot of ground. The central thesis here is that competing in a crowded market, it's a losing game. It's a red ocean.
To win, you have to create a blue ocean by making the competition irrelevant.
You do that through value innovation. You stop looking at the competitor to see what you should match.
And you start looking at the buyer to see what you can solve. You use the ERRC grid to ruthlessly eliminate and reduce the factors that no longer add value.
So you can afford to raise and create the factors that do. And you stop fighting for the same 10% of customers.
You look at the non-customers, the people waiting to jump ship, the people refusing you, and the people who don't even know you exist.
It really requires a huge shift in mindset. You have to stop asking, how do I beat the other guy?
And start asking, why does the customer need the other guy at all?
I want to leave you, the listener, with a challenge. Look at your current strategic plan. Look at your product roadmap. Is it just filled with incremental improvements designed to catch up to a competitor?
They added a chatbot, so we need a chatbot.
They lowered their price by 5%, so we need to lower ours by 5%. If that's your roadmap, you are in the red ocean.
You're swimming with the sharks.
Take an hour. Draw a strategy canvas, map your industry, then map your product. If the lines are parallel, you have work to do. Ask yourself, what can I eliminate that everyone else assumes is essential?
And what can I create that nobody else is even thinking about? It's scary to leave the harbor. The red ocean is bloody, but it's familiar. The blue ocean is vast and unknown.
Right.
But that's where the growth is.
The ultimate victory isn't standing over your defeated rival. It's realizing you're playing a game they don't even understand. That is the blue ocean.
Couldn't said it better myself.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.
Ready to take your online business to the next level? Subscribe to our digital marketing podcast and then join our Accountability for Success Mastermind. With expert advice from industry leaders, you'll gain knowledge and insights that will help you succeed in today's digital marketing world. From social media strategies to search engine optimization, we have all the tools you need. Learn from successful entrepreneurs and take control of your online success. Join the Accountability for Success Mastermind now at bit.ly/AFSM podcast.